Hello everyone and welcome to this unboxing video. I was very lucky that over the weekend I was given a very kind and very early birthday present. It's not my birthday for a few months yet. I was given a Dominion box on the day that it came out, and I've been dying to get into this, but I thought I would save it for showing you guys, and then obviously I get to have the fun of everything a little bit later on anyway. So without further ado, let's have a look at this. All I've done really is take off the shrink wrap and kind of make sure everything is there, but I thought I would show you this. So this is the top box art, and I mean I think actually I have to say I think the box presentation is really cool. But let's be honest, it's not the outside of the box that anyone really cares about, is it? So let's have a look at what's inside. And there we go, wonderful. So the first thing that we find is this artwork, and it's basically on kind of cardboard. So you could easily put this up as a piece of art on your wall if you wanted to. It has a Warhammer Age of Sigmar backing on it, and I think it's really there just to kind of keep everything separate, but it does look really cool, and I think you could easily do this with something plain, and I like the fact that they've done this. As I say, you could actually put this up on your wall if you wanted to. It's kind of like a poster, feels kind of like a poster, which is cool, we like that, but again, let's keep going, because this is kind of the bit everyone wants to see, right? So this is the actual minis that we get into, and you can see we get quite a few minis with this. Obviously, because they're not put together yet, you can't really get the full idea of exactly what they look like, but you can kind of see some of the things which are starting here. So you can see there's big animals which are being ridden, there's big banners, there's a big orc shield there. There's some really cool stuff, and the detail, as ever, I mean, it's modern Games Workshop stuff. You know the detail is going to be good. It's not going to have any major defects, anything like that. And as I say, there are a lot of minis with this. I really like the new orc miniatures. I played orcs and goblins when I was a child, when I was a teenager. And back in those days, the orcs and goblins were kind of ferocious and fierce, and they weren't heavily armoured particularly. They kind of used improvised weapons, improvised armour. And they went a long way away from that with Age of Sigmar, which wasn't to my taste. Obviously, you know, it's up to you to decide if that's something that you enjoy. I'm not saying it's inherently a bad thing, but it wasn't really to my taste. Now they've kind of gone back a lot more towards some of those old school orc designs, which I absolutely love. And actually, we've got another of the same pictures here, but you can see the general idea. So these are the kinds of orcs that they've gone back to, rather than the big heavily armoured types that were there before. This is actually the same piece of art as above, so it kind of goes above and below the miniatures to keep everything safe and secure. And I think these orcs are really cool. Obviously, once I've got some put together, once I've got some painted, I'll show them in videos and on my Twitter and all of those kind of things. But I really love the orcs, as I say, and I actually think that the Sigmar, the Stormcast, are a big step up in terms of what's going on in these as well. The original Age of Sigmar miniatures from the Stormcast were big old chunky boys, and there's nothing inherently wrong with that either, but they just didn't look very like humanoid in shape. They were a bit bland, a bit uninteresting to my eyes, and these are looking a lot more interesting. So I'm going to put those aside. I know we haven't had a great deal of looking at those minis, but as I say, there's not loads to see on them at the moment. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep going and see what we see. So as I say, I haven't opened these inside at all, but I'm going to have a look inside these packages for you, and we'll see what we find. So there's quite a few bits and pieces in here, and so this is the building instructions. So this is probably quite a good way to get an idea for what some of the minis look like, actually. So here are two of the kind of generals. This is the Stormcast general, and this is the Orc general, and they're looking so much more interesting in my mind than the Age of Sigmar ones that we were finding before. Here's a shot of some of the other orcs, and again, they feel to me like they have much more of that kind of aesthetic that we used to get with orcs. A bit going back a bit more towards the Warhammer Fantasy, which is kind of where I came into Warhammer and Games Workshop from. But you can see again here, there's lots of detail, lots of interesting minis to do. There's a whole booklet here of building instructions to get my teeth into, which will keep me occupied for a little while. But yeah, some fantastic minis in here. And I'll report back later on at how good these instructions are. I've had some Games Workshop sets recently where the instructions actually haven't been that good, and they've had wrong numbers in places, or they've been missing numbers for sticking together. And where something like this does have very specific ways to go together, that's not very helpful. So I will report back on that later. I don't have any reason to think that that's the case for this at the moment, and honestly I would expect that for something which is kind of a flagship thing like this, they would probably edit these fairly well, but you never quite know. So I will check up on that, but that looks good. That looks nice and helpful. We also have, this one says start here, Ward Amberstone Watch. So this is kind of giving us an introduction to everything that's going on in this set, telling us about the different units that we have, giving us a bit of background and story really. So here we go. So it's talking about a monstrous stirring, and then it talks in detail about the Stormcast Eternals and also the Kruleboyz, which is the name of the Orc army that's in the box. So this gives us a nice background, and it, as I say, it does say on the front, start here. So it's probably the right place to start my reading. I don't know a great deal about Age of Sigmar. I've never played a game of Age of Sigmar, actually. I paint Games Workshop minis, but I have yet to play a game. What I think I'm going to do, because this was a gift, is I'm going to paint these 2 armies in here up, and then I will be able to play games with people, which will be wonderful. So I will actually need to kind of read these. We also have, so these are, I think they might be called War Scrolls, but they're kind of specific scrolls about the different units that we have. So you can see, so this is a unit of Annihilators, and then that gives you the stats for them over here, so you can kind of see what each one looks like. So again, actually let's have a look through these, because that will give you an idea of what the units look like. So this is the killer boss with stab grot. So this is the killer boss here, and this is the stab grot down here. So they're looking pretty nice. Swamp Caller Shaman and Pot Grot. So they each have kind of little assistants, I suppose you'd say, with them, which are looking cool. So this is the killer boss on Great Gnash Tooth. So that's the one that I was showing you before, which is the mounted miniature. Merc Knob with Belcher Banner. They do have very evocative names. And as I say, each of these have their own rules on the back. We have the Gut Rippers, the Hobogrot Slitters, Manskewer Bolt Boys, and then this is just a general Kruleboyz introduction. And then similarly for the Stormcast, we have Indastra, the Celestial Spear, Lord Imperatant. Sorry, I went to Indiana Jones there. Penitent. Knight Arcanum, Knight Vexillor, Vindictors, I think he said Vindicators, because I think there are some Vindicators around somewhere. Praetors, Annihilators, Stormcast Eternals is the name of the army, so that's the general one. So we've kind of got all of that to get us through, give you reference sheets for all of the different armies that you might be, all the different units you might be using from out of this box. We'll put them back in there for safekeeping, and we'll then just have a quick look. So this is the main rulebook, and again it is cellophaned. Let's take that off, shall we? Let's see, I've got some files here, that'll do for, don't want to damage my nice beautiful new rulebook. That would be a shame as I was unboxing it, but it looks lovely. It's a hardback book, which now I'm going to struggle to get into, aren't I? That's I should have opened this before starting the video, shouldn't I? Such is life. Right, let's get in here properly. There we go. That will do. That will do, boys. Right. So again, let's try not to damage the book, shall we? Probably a nice idea. Same image on the bottom as the artwork that we got earlier. I've now just thrown this again. Probably best not try not to damage my nice new rulebook. But as you can see, this is a beautiful hardback book, and again, it's got a lot of information here which I will need to go through if I want to play, but it is beautifully bound. It has that lovely new smell book, I have to say. New book smell, not new smell book. It has a nice little, it's such a small thing, but I love that it has a little bookmark ribbon in there, and it's presented beautifully in here. So this just has some bases underneath here, but it's designed in such a way as to keep everything kind of beautifully contained and not damaged, and a lot of work has gone into it. I know this has a very similar design to, for example, the Indomitus box, which came out I think last year, so there has been quite a bit of development has gone into this. I think it's one of those ones which it's very hard to discuss, you know, the value of such a thing. I think you get a lot of miniatures for your money doing something like this. You obviously get access to all the rules, you get the beautiful rule book. So if you're thinking of starting playing, it's actually a great way to go. But probably most of the people who end up buying these are not people who are just starting but are wanting to get further and keep playing. So it's a little bit of an odd one from that point of view. But I think I really like everything that comes in here. I'm really looking forward to getting to grips with those new Kruleboyz and with the Stormcasts. I think they are all looking really, really good, and I am excited by it. So yeah, as I say, very grateful to receive a present like this. But yeah, keep an eye on the YouTube channel, keep an eye on my Twitter, which you can find down below, all of those things to see how I get on with this, get on with doing some of the painting of it. But I hope this has helped you. If so, do give it a like, do give me a follow, all of those things. You know how YouTube works. I don't need to explain all that to you. So yeah, as I say, I hope it has been useful. Do drop any comments below as well. But otherwise, thanks for watching. Bye bye.